If you're thinking about moving to Sarasota, Florida, whether you're planning to retire, work remotely, or just escape the cold, you're probably wondering what it actually costs to live here. So today, I'm breaking down the real costs of living in Sarasota in 2025. That means housing, taxes, insurance, and your everyday expenses, and a few surprise costs that most people don't think about. Spoiler alert, if you're coming from places like New York, New Jersey, California, or even Chicago, you might be pleasantly surprised. Towards the end, stick with me because I'll be sharing tips on how you can actually stretch your budget and make the most of moving to paradise. Let's do this. Let's start with the biggest line item, housing. As of mid-2025, the median home price in the Sarasota, Florida area is hovering right around $500,000. But of course, this varies a lot on the location and condition of the property and the type of property. Single-family homes are certainly going more for your condos. Now, if you want to be closer to downtown and have that walkability, or if you want to be closer to the beach, the most popular areas, expect to pay $800,000 or more easily. And if you move east of I-75, if you're looking at our main thoroughfare that runs north and south, which is I-75, and you want to look into some of our newer communities in the Lakewood Ranch or East Sarasota area, you can certainly find homes, single-family homes, and many of them new construction starting in the $400,000 and up range. So condos can start in the low 300s. We're actually seeing even kind of lower than that, especially if the HOA fees are higher. So we just have to watch out for those HOA and condo fees. And that's why talking to someone who kind of knows their way around those is super important. If you're not ready to buy yet, the average rental for a 2-bedroom condo or apartment is running on annual lease about $2,100 to $2,500 a month. And of course, that again depends on location. And if you're looking at a seasonal rental, which our season runs from October, December, and then again January through, or kind of early February through April, those can sometimes easily double per month. So, and most people just do weekly. And that depends again on where in town, because some locations in our area do not allow weekly rentals. So you just have to be careful about that. Right now, some of our most attractive properties and communities are located in new construction areas. Between the incentives that they're offering, such as covering closing costs, giving credits towards design, or just flat off the top reduction of prices, and then even more exciting, if you are financing, they're offering unbeatable interest rates, and if you use their lender. So no mortgage loan officer can even touch these interest rates if you use their lender. So something to consider and think about if you're looking to move to the area. Next up is property and state income tax. One of the biggest perks, financial perks that is, of moving to Florida is actually our no state income tax. And that even applies to your Social Security income as well. So if you're retiring or working remotely, that's thousands of dollars a year back in your pocket. Now, property taxes in Sarasota and Manatee County, and just remember when you're looking at a map, our sister county is Manatee County and sits right above Sarasota County. We literally just have one road that separates it. So many times you might be in different school systems, but you're just one road off from the county line. And this is significant because it used to matter whether you were in Manatee County or Sarasota County, and you might get a little bit of lower taxes in Manatee County, but that's no longer the case since COVID. So property taxes run anywhere from like 0.9 to 1.1% of your home's purchase price. This is super important because a lot of people look at the history of a property and see what they bought it for, or they're looking at what the current owners are paying in property taxes, and that is not accurate. That is the property tax assessed for them, which is individual to their purchase price and also whether or not they chose to declare homestead. You can declare homestead here in Florida, and you have to be here at least 6 months and 1 day resident. They do not have to be consecutive, but you need to have a total of 6 months and 1 day to declare residency here to take advantage of the homestead exemption, which not only gives you up to $50,000 worth of a reduction on the taxable value of your property, but also keeps or helps keep the cost or the rising cost of assessments over time. It's a great value to property owners here in the state and a wonderful way to protect your property. So something you definitely want to take advantage of if you can. Real quick, I help families like you all the time looking to move to the Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, Florida area. So if you'll hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you don't miss another valuable video. Now let's talk about property insurance and flood zones, because this is where things can get tricky, and I've heard all sorts of rumors and flat out lies floating all around out there. So Florida is known for higher premiums, especially along the coastline, but of course we're a coastal town. There's going to be more risk of flooding and wind damage. So that is why we in general have higher insurance premiums. However, a typical home insurance policy in Sarasota area and Manatee County area for an inland home about 2,000 square feet can run about $1,500 to up to $5,000 a year, depending on the age, the roof age, the size of the home, the flood zone it's located in, and the location of the home in general. So these are all important factors, and you can literally minimize your expenses by factoring in each one of those areas of a home's property, a home's characteristics. So if you're in a flood zone, you may also need flood insurance. This is in addition to your property insurance, which just covers damage like flood, a tree falling on it, or just general property damage. Flood insurance is a separate policy that you take out, and they can range anywhere from $500 to $1,500 annually. But there are plenty of areas in Sarasota County that are not in flood zones and still offer beautiful newer homes that you can move into. It's so critical to work with an agent like myself who can guide you and navigate you through this and help you weigh your pros and cons depending on what matters most to you. Now, another place you can control your costs are your HOA fees and your CDD fees. Let's talk about this. So if you're looking in a planned community or a 55 plus neighborhood community, you'll likely run into HOA fees and possibly even some CDD fees in some of the newer communities. Now, HOA fees in Sarasota range anywhere from $100 to $1,200 a month, depending on the amenities that are available to you. Now, CDD fees, which is short for Community District Development fees, are annual charges for infrastructure that was taken out as a bond by the developer to put in the infrastructure that otherwise the city or county would have done. So they're not a bad thing necessarily, but there's something you should factor into your total monthly costs. And I'm actually just now seeing where some of the older communities of these CDD communities, those bonds are falling off because it's been 25, 30 years now and they haven't refinanced them and they're paid off. And this is drastically reducing their annual CDD fee, some from like $3,000 down to $300 a year. So this is huge because this is actually going to make that property much more valuable if you think about it. So again, something to consider: your HOA fees, depending on how much you want, how many amenities you want, what you want access to, and the lifestyle you're looking for. Many people find that it far outweighs the monthly cost of what they would be paying in any clubs they have to join if they want access to tennis or pool or pickleball, any lawn maintenance they have to do, if they have to do pool maintenance. Those are all things that once you add them up, sometimes that HOA fee actually comes in under budget. So think about it. But what about those everyday living costs? Now, the good news is that your everyday expenses here in the Sarasota, Florida area are pretty reasonable and on par with most other places. Groceries, you're looking at milk right now, again, this is mid-2025, is running about $4.50 a gallon for generic, and gas is running about $3.20 for regular unleaded, and that's about on par with the national average. Now, utilities, such as your power and your gas, for a 2,000 square foot home usually run anywhere from $200 to $300 a month. Some communities do provide cable, basic cable in your HOA, HOA, and they also provide pest control and your lawn care, as I mentioned. So depending on if you have gas in your home or if you have a pool, that's going to run you a little bit more for your power or your gas, depending on how it's heated. And then you also have cable and water and trash and sewer. So trash, sewer, and water are usually on the same bill, and that can run anywhere from $100 to $200 a month as well. So dining out, you can actually still find a good meal for two under $60. And there are plenty of free or low cost things to do here in town. This is what I love about living in Sarasota. Of course, there are beach days. There are clubs that you can join depending on what your personal interests are that are often free. There are art walks and festivals and farmers markets, and there's just getting out and enjoying the weather. Libraries, museums that are free on certain days, and there are certainly tons of discounts for Florida residents as well. So even if housing and insurance might be a little bit more than what you're accustomed to, you can certainly find that the lifestyle here balances that out. Now, obviously, if you're going to look at doing more when you move here, such as joining a golf club or a social club or a tennis club or becoming a philanthropist or shopping more or eating out more, whatever that more is, if you move here, that is going to cost more. So it just depends on what your personal preferences and lifestyle goals are. Also, just an FYI, our local state tax is 7%, and our food items, grocery items, are not taxed. Now let's do kind of a quick comparison. If you're looking at moving to Sarasota from any areas in the Northeast or California, the San Diego area, San Francisco, higher cost areas, or even in Chicago, I know Illinois has higher property value and taxes, you're likely paying more in taxes, more for the older homes, and more for your heating bills. Most of my relocation clients are actually able to buy newer homes and lower their monthly expenses while upgrading their lifestyle here in Sarasota. And it's a huge win-win for everyone. Now that we covered most of all of your living expenses and your housing and taxes and insurance and all of that, I wanted to give you a few tips to make your Sarasota move as cost effective as possible. Number one, working with a local lender is huge, and I certainly can give you referrals to some local lenders that I have partnered with and worked with personally on deals that have made it so smooth, have taken care of my clients so well. And if you ever want a local lender, please reach out, let me know. I'll be happy to give you those names. I don't get anything for referring them. They literally are just people that I've actually worked with, and it's huge because they understand the local market. Not only that, they understand the local ins and outs or nuances with HOA fees and condo inspections now and everything, and condo budgets. So it's super important that you work with a local lender if you aren't already working with someone in your hometown. Now, this needs to happen very early while you're thinking about moving so that you can get a great idea and an estimate of what your monthly payments will be. You can also get insurance quotes, and I highly recommend that if you like an area or like a home, before you go all under contract on it, it's super important that you get quotes, insurance quotes, or at least get the current expenses from the current owner to get an idea of what the monthly costs will be for that property. Now, ask about flood zones and see the HOA budgets. This is huge. Sometimes properties can actually fall into 2 flood zones. Maybe the front of the property is not in a flood zone, but the back of the property is. So it's super important to know exactly what the flood zone is for that property. And then you also want to see the HOA budget sheets now. Now it's legally required that all HOAs provide their budget so that you can see if they're keeping enough money in their reserve pile for unexpected expenses. And that happens. You know, sometimes a tree damages an outbuilding or something, and you have to get that fixed. And instead of assessing everybody, you know you have that money in the reserve. So that's super important. I would also highly recommend test driving the area. If you can plan a trip to the area and plan on visiting some neighborhoods, taking a look at some homes, I say 7 to 10 days is a great length of time. You could visit the whole area, this whole region, in that amount of time if you kept busy. But also the added bonus is you can have a relaxing day at the beach and the pool as well. So of course I'd be happy to help you with all of that. And I often actually will hear from clients that are planning a trip, and I will sit down with them. I'll write down the dates that they'll be here. We'll plan at least one of those days to go out, and I can guide them through the different areas, talk about the pros and cons, give them an idea of what the homes will cost out there, and also then we usually go out to lunch or something, and we just make a whole day of it, and it's wonderful. And plus I have access to these communities. Many of these communities are gated, so with me we can get into anywhere they want to get into. So another perk of working with me. Florida isn't the cheapest place to live by far, but if you're looking for sunshine, community, and a better quality of life, Sarasota, Florida might be exactly what you're looking for. And if you want help planning your move, it's never too soon to start. And I've actually got an amazing free relocation guide that you can just comment free in the comments below, and I'll send that over to you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit your notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly videos. And this way you can learn what it's actually like to live here in the Sarasota, Florida area. If you want to take a closer look at one of the area's neighborhoods, you can check out this video here or here. And until then, I'll see you on the next video.